What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the shop. I am going to try to make a whole bunch of progress on this for you today. I know you guys are dying to see this board finished. I'm dying to see the board finished. That would be pretty sweet. So, yeah, let's try to work towards getting the board finished. Kind of sounds good. Um, right here, you are seeing the glossy bottom side of the board again, that we've already fiberglassed. Uh, you know, don't have to do anything to that. We don't have to do anything to that today. Sorry. Can't even talk. But what we will be doing is protecting the bottom side of the board. Okay, we're getting ready to dump a whole bunch of epoxy resin on the top of this thing, and what does liquid want to do? It wants to flow down. So, in order to keep that liquid resin from dripping and running all over the bottom of the board, we're going to go ahead and put up this little drip edge right here with tape, with this contact tape, and that will keep it clean and eliminate a lot more work for us once we get the top done. Because if you get epoxy that runs all over the bottom of this board, that's just extra sanding you're going to have to do to clean it up. So I like to put the tape on. That keeps the stuff from running everywhere. It makes a nice little clean edge. It makes it easy to sand. It's all in one spot, or at least around the perimeter of the board. Just makes it easier. You don't have to, but you will definitely see what I'm talking about. If you don't, the epoxy will run everywhere. It's already going to go on the floor, so there's no way around it. It's just going to happen. Yeah. Just really nothing technical about this. It's contact tape, so just make sure you press it on so it actually stays there, or else, after sitting for a couple days, it could just fall off. Once we get this done, it's time to turn this bad boy back over, and we're going to get some fiberglass going. Using the same resin that we did last time, that high performance Total Boat, it works great. It takes... I did use the slow hardener on this one, so it will take, I was thinking 5 to 7 days. Seems like it almost has taken about 9 to 10 for it to completely harden up. Before I was comfortable wanting to do any sanding on this, I think the best is let it wait 9 to 10 days. I know that's a long time, especially if you're wanting to get a project finished, but if you want it done right, just wait the extra time. Wait till the stuff completely hardens up. You don't want to go out there and start sanding off drips that are still soft. Just let it all get solid and do it the right way. You'll be much happier with the results. Well, unless you want it to look like crap, but we didn't come this far for crap. All right. That was just a joke. Okay, we got the tape. Let's go ahead and get this thing flipped back over, get some work done to the top. Don't drop it or scratch anything. Throwing it around like I was doing right there, probably isn't the smartest thing. I don't recommend that, but it's your shop. Not gonna tell you what to do. Checking to make sure I didn't set my tape down on my blankets I have underneath the board. I do have a couple of soft blankets sitting in between the board and the strong back right now, just to keep from getting my soft wood surface and or epoxy surfaces from getting scratched. Another thing to think about, once you start getting the sides finished, you have to protect them until you can get them fully sanded, or once you have them fully sanded, you're definitely going to want to protect them. So, just be careful with your stuff. Doing your due diligence always makes everything so smooth. You'll learn that the older you get. So, right now, I'm just going back through, making sure all the tape is stuck. Like I said, you don't want this stuff falling off after a couple days. Just going around the perimeter, making sure she's all sticking. You don't want any epoxy to find its way through the tape and leave me a nice nasty run on the bottom. I did leave out on the last video something pretty important, and you will see it at the end of this video, I believe. You probably have already seen it in one of my shorts if you watch those at all. Not my actual shorts, my video shorts on YouTube. Ha ha ha! Funny, huh? Oh, sorry. Just showing right here how I was making that tape stick. It's again, it's contact tape, so it's pressure sensitive. You have to press it to make it stick. Right there, just showing how the epoxy would run off the edge normally and hit the bottom. Here, it's going to run right off the edge, hit the tape, and trip on the floor. That's exactly what we want. Keeps everything nice and clean. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm just putting the camera back there. Well, let's get to work. Let's get this stuff mixed up. Um, I had some pumps already ready to go, so we're just going to get that stuff mixed up, get it dumped on. This first coat right here is just going to be the flood coat. We're sealing up the pores in the wood right now, and going to be keeping air bubbles from coming up into our final coat where we'll actually spreading the fiberglass. Right there, I'm just showing you that bottle says fuel on it. It is denatured alcohol. It's the same thing. This is my little wipe down I do before starting anything. Get the denatured alcohol out, wipe the surface down, get all the dust off. Give it use your air compressor to blow it off a little bit beforehand to get all the dust off of there, and then use the denatured alcohol to get the final dust and all the grease or any finger oil, anything else that you may have touched and put on the board that the epoxy isn't going to spread to. You can see right there on the rag, the board looks relatively clean, but as I'm wiping, there's still stuff coming off the board. So that's after this thing has been sprayed down with air and wiped off once previously. So, wipe it down 3 times, wipe down 4 times. Just make sure that your end product is perfect every time. That's how we like it. Don't inhale the denatured alcohol. That's not good. I don't recommend that. Don't copy the monkey in the video. That's bad, children. Okay. Yeah, see that? Look at that. Look at all that crap we're getting off of there. That's what the clean side of the rag looks like. Holy crap. Wipe your boards off, people. Use me as your example. I use probably around 24 ounces of epoxy on this go round. I would say between 20 and 24 ounces. Again, this is just going to be a flood coat. All we are going to do is spread this super thin and go back and forth over it a couple times. Watch your grain and watch the surface of the wood. As soon as you start seeing spots that are drying up quicker than others, go ahead and bring your squeegee and your epoxy back to that area, and just keep lightly covering the areas that are soaking it up until they don't soak it up anymore, and then scrape all of the remaining epoxy off. You can either do it with your squeegee or a rag. Just keep in mind, we will be putting fiberglass over the top of this. So, if you're going to use a rag, use a lint-free. Right now is a good time to not be using that stuff anymore at all. So, I would use the squeegee as much as possible at this point, just to keep from adding, anything in to stick to that wood that you don't want to be there once we put fiberglass on it. Because after this, once we do it, it's stuck, and it's going to remain that way until somebody lights this board on fire or doesn't want it anymore. Okay, so as you should have already been able to tell in this video, it's hot outside while I'm doing this. Sweat shadow, anybody? Yeah, keep in mind, temperature has a lot to do with the cure time on your epoxy. I'm using a slow hardener, which gives me normally about 45 minutes of a pot time. Pot time is just like the workable time that you have with the epoxy. If you mix it in small batches, you can get about 45 minutes. On a hot day like this, it was closer to about, I don't know, 20 to 25 minutes. Towards the end of putting the resin on, I was like starting to scramble because you could feel it tightening up. So just be aware of, humidity and ambient temperature is huge when you are working with an epoxy like this, any epoxy like this. Um, so yeah, if you would have been using a faster hardener than I was, then pop time probably could have been like 5 or 10 minutes. So you'd have been, asses and elbows trying to get everything done. Uh, yeah, we don't want to have to hurry when we're doing something like this. This board is 12 feet long. You're going to need to take your time and get this fiberglass smoothed out. You're going to want to give yourself time for mistakes. And yeah, you want the longest workable time you get with this resin just because of that. There's a lot of room where it could go great, but there's also a lot of room where it could go horrible. And then, you need a little bit of time to try to repair that before it's screw it. We're going to let this thing cure for 7 days only to completely sand it back down to the wood and start over again. We're trying to avoid that at all cost. We'll do it, but we don't want to. Holy crap. Oh, God almighty, I hate resanding fiberglass. Yuck. Check that out. He-Man. Masters of the Universe. Wonder if I'll get flagged for saying that. Oh well. Here, let's try to trim the fiberglass to about the same as we had for the other layer. I don't know, 1 to 2 inches of overlap is fine. We already had a bunch of overlap from the previous layer, from the bottom wrapping up to this side. So if you don't want to completely wrap it over, you don't have to. If you want to go halfway down, that's fine. Whatever works. Yeah, you can see I'm doing some horrible camera work right here to show you how I'm making a terrible crooked cut on this fiberglass cloth. 4 ounce, by the way, if I didn't already say that. I'm sure I did. You'll see here in a second, if you if you use 2 hands like a human would instead of trying to do this terrible shot, you can actually cut this 4 ounce cloth like you can wrapping paper. It surprised the hell out of me. I didn't think it would work, but it does. I'm sure the scissors have a lot to do with that because they're sharp, but yeah. I think this is it right here. Yeah, okay. I go ahead and secure the camera back and quickly realize that, holy cow, I could have done this totally different the whole way around. I'm so ready to get through this. Yeah, see? Cue the music from oh damn it, what was the movie? Dun 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 dun. Yeah, it was one of those kind of moments. Pretty good. The resident Sasquatch is happy with what he has done for the day. As he gathers up his wares, he's deciding on what he will go out and gather tonight for dinner. Anyway, we need to hurry up and get this flood coat on. I'm ready to get this thing done. We're all done here. We're gonna fold this up. If you're gonna fold this up, just remember which way you fold it, so you don't get it down on the board and it's unfolded backwards or whatever. If you've worked with fiberglass, you understand after you cut it, you kind of want to handle it a limited amount because the edges start fraying really, really quick, and then it becomes a pain in the ass to work with after that. So, yeah, just make sure which direction you fold it up so when you go to fold it back out, it's good to go and you're done. Um, yeah, I, I did the chef double oven thing right there. I already had the stuff mixed up where all I had to do was just go whack it with the drill, and we're ready to start squeegeeing some epoxy over the top of this thing. I do like the little twisty sticks from the Jeff Bezos mega store. I forget what kind of silly, misspelled name they have on them, but yeah, I'm sure you can guess. It's take your pick. You type in epoxy drill mixer, and I'm sure you're going to see, 500 different versions and sizes of it, and all for 97 cents a piece shipped over here somehow. I don't know how in the hell they do that. It's magic. It's crazy. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to shut up now, so just watch the pretty glossy stuff. I love this part. It starts changing color. Check this out. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna shut up now. Okay. That's it. I'm done. Yeah, you just thought I was gonna play something like that. I wouldn't do that. That's messed up. This isn't a pirate movie, you silly people.
Okay, so here's where, paying attention to how you folded up your fiberglass cloth is really going to come into play. We did all that work spreading out that flood coat, and you don't let that flood coat fully cure. You want to leave it just slightly tacky, So instead of 24 hours, we might go like 6 or 8 hours. I think that's about what I went on this thing just because it's so damn hot outside on the day that I did this. So after you get done, waiting for that to slightly cure, go ahead and throw your cloth back out. You're going to want to, make sure that you have it fitted to there properly, stretch it all out, get it all completely smoothed out. Remove as much of the air bubbles from it now as you can, to limit the amount of work we're going to have to do with that squeegee. Because, like I was talking about earlier, this is a 12-foot board. There's going to be quite a bit of work, smoothing this glass out once we get it coated with our resin. So take your time, smooth it out as much as possible. You don't go crazy with it because, of course, you can. But, just limit the amount of work you're going to make yourself. That's what I always like to do. This part is pretty damn straightforward. You saw how I was applying the epoxy resin with the squeegee. That's basically the same technique we're going to be using here with the fiberglass. And I will apologize right now. I don't have all of the footage from laying down this layer of fiberglass. I'm pissed. Again, this all leads to the temperature, so just situational awareness always is helpful. It was extremely hot in the shop while I was filming this video. My poor phone overheated and quit filming the rest of it. So here in, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes, this is going to cut out, and you're not going to get to see me finish doing one of the most important, coolest looking steps on the boat. Boat. That's wishful thinking, I'm sorry. One of the coolest looking steps on this paddleboard. This is my favorite right here. I love seeing the transition of the raw, untreated wood covered with, that opaque looking fiberglass, to then, be like instantly glass clear. And then it stays like that, with proper care, of course. But, once we're done with this thing, if somebody cares for this board properly, this thing's easily going to last 100 years. That's pretty cool. That's saying a lot for the product. That's it's a hell of an epoxy. But, yeah. I love this. I absolutely love this part. The mixing up the epoxy is probably the most boring part, and I don't even mind that too much. I don't think I'm leaving much more out at this point other than let's go ahead and hurry up and mix this up and get it spread out. Oh, I said earlier, but I barely mentioned earlier about mixing this stuff in smaller batches. It starts to heat up very quick. If you mix it in a large batch, it will heat. It gets very hot, and it could or will burn your hand if you're holding the container that it's in. So I did have to source out some questions to a painter buddy of mine who kind of knows what he's talking about when it comes to this kind of crap. And he just said to limit the amount of exotherm that it's doing, while it's sitting there trying to cure in your pot, is just mix smaller amounts. Or if you do mix a large amount, spread it out into smaller jugs. That way, it doesn't compound heat itself up. The smaller the mixture, the less heat is going to be coming off of it. So, yeah, thanks to him for letting me know that. Next time I need to mix 24 ounces all at once, I will put it in smaller containers. Because towards the end of this run, it started to get pretty damn hot in my hand. And that's where I was saying the added the added thing, or wow, yeah. Sometimes brain just doesn't work. Words are tough. Jesus. Just the added caveat of having the heat, the ambient temperature is, it's huge on this, and makes all the difference in the world. So if I would have had smaller batches, maybe it would have gotten me a little bit more time. Not that I ran out of time on this one. It just, I was feeling the sting of, holy crap, I can start feeling this epoxy mixture tightening up. It's time to hurry, or I'm not going to be able to apply it anymore. And I was also told, or I was corrected, your pot time isn't necessarily always the time that you're going to have to work with it in the pot. The pot time envelops the pot time and your workable time on the board. So, or your work surface, wherever you're applying this stuff. So just don't think that you're going to have 45 minutes worth in the pot, and then you get it out, and then you can work with it, for an extended period of time. I maybe if you have a slow hardener and it's 65 degrees outside, sure, that might work. But even with this stuff and this slow hardener on a 95-degree day, it was tightening up way fast. Not a big deal, as long as, just don't dump out too much at once. Try to just work slow. Don't put out too much, because then you're going to feel overwhelmed, and then you're going to start making mistakes, and then you're going to start pulling the material a different direction, and then you're going to get wrinkles. And it just, take your time, get the resin pulled through, make sure that you're getting all the air bubbles out. You can use one of the metal wheel rollers if you need to get air bubbles out. Most of the time you don't need to, but whatever works for you. Yeah, just take your time. It's gonna turn out good, I promise. Yeah, let's go ahead and just finish this out with the rest of that Scar, or whatever the hell that was, playing. A little bit of punk music. Yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. I appreciate you coming and checking out this video. I definitely got more coming up. We got a hell of a lot of sanding and refinishing to do on this thing. So again, thank you all. Appreciate you guys watching these videos. You kick ass. Enjoy the music. Enjoy the show. Hell yeah. Rock on.